Hi, my name's Renata. Welcome to my YouTube channel, which is dedicated to intercultural communication, expat life, business skills and job search across cultures, and foreign language learning. My video today is about giving and receiving feedback across cultures. So if you're an expat who has moved abroad, who has to lead a team and give feedback to people from different cultures and countries, or if you're the recipient of feedback from a new boss who's from a different country or culture, then this video is totally for you. Also, if you're an international student and you have to deal with professors in different countries, how do the professors give you feedback? Or if you work on a team with international clients, you have to work across cultures to sell products to other countries, how do you give and receive feedback? Do you feel they're sometimes very direct, telling you when something doesn't work, or do you wish you had understood what they meant when they gave you feedback and you thought it was all good? So all these misunderstandings when giving and receiving feedback is the topic for today's video. As always, I'm going to share some slides with you and I'll come back to you at the very end of this video. And in this video, I'm going to compare giving and receiving feedback across cultures in general, as well as a focus on the US, because I work a lot with expats moving to the US. So I'm going to compare it to how this is done in the US, some tips and tricks for those of you who've moved to the US. I'd like to get started with this chart, which shows you different types of feedback. I'm going to come back to this chart at the very end of the video and we're going to fill it in with some examples. But I'd like you to think about it until then. Your personal preference, how direct or indirect are you, or explicit and implicit are you with feedback, and how often do you give it? Do you give it in public, in front of others? Is everybody allowed to see it, or is it done more implicitly, maybe behind closed doors? Do you not say it so directly? Do you actually have to read between the lines to understand it? So, what is your personal preference, or what is common in your home country or in other countries and cultures that you know? I'd like you to think about it, and then we'll come back to it at the end of the video. So, I'd like to get started with positive feedback. It's a great thing, isn't it? But do we all give it in the same way and the same level of frequency? Well, let's have a look at this by comparing positive feedback with a strawberry cupcake. Very nice, very yummy. Positive feedback. So, if you have an employee who does great work, or if you're a professor and you have a student who's a very good student, do tend to give a little bit of a cupcake every day. So a little bit of positive feedback every single day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Or do you just give positive feedback in very specific situations of extraordinary achievement? So the person has to do something really, really extraordinary to receive positive feedback. Otherwise, there's no feedback at all, which is understood as everything's fine. Or do you need the daily cupcakes for people to understand everything is fine? That's the question here. Again, check what you prefer, how you feel this is done in your home culture, and maybe also try to compare it maybe with other places. Also, the feedback. Is it like a big strawberry cupcake or is it a very small one? So, how generous are we with positive feedback? And how do we give it? Do we give it right in front of everyone? Here it is on a silver plate for everybody to see because, hey, you can be proud of it and then you can say, yay, look at me, look at what I did. This is important. Or do you do it on like one-on-one? You pack the cupcake into a little box, so you hide it and then you present it, and it has to be a one-on-one setting to give the positive feedback. And like I said, is it maybe only in the case of an extraordinary achievement? So that's the positive feedback aspect. Think about it. How do you prefer it? How do you know it is being done? And what about negative feedback? Let's assume negative feedback is a piece of steak or a piece of meat. So If the piece of meat is your negative feedback, do you just throw the piece of meat on the table? Nothing else. Here it is. Whoom. It's pretty direct. It's pretty strong. There's nothing nice around it. But that's how it's done. Maybe because it's considered honest and effective and productive, and people have no problem with it, no concern with saving face. It's just the way it's done. Or do people at least put it on a piece of toast and on a plate, like accompany the negative feedback with a little bit of extra whatever? Or do you feel that in your country it's packed in a huge sandwich, which we actually call the sandwich feedback, meaning you start with bread and salad and tomatoes and whatever, mayonnaise, make it seem very nice and friendly, then the piece of meat hidden in the middle. But yeah, you should kind of pick it up when we get there. And then we finish with more bread and veggies and sauce and so on. So the negative feedback is given, but it's definitely softened and diluted and wrapped and packaged in a way so it's easier to digest for people and they kind of know what's coming and you're going easy on them. Or maybe I can't see the meat at all. In some cultures, we give negative feedback in the way that if you come from a culture where they put the meat on the table, you would not understand that this was negative feedback. Negative feedback can be given so implicitly, so indirectly that you really have to read between the lines, understand the things that were not said or hinted. And it might even look like there's no meat at all. So, which is the way of giving negative feedback that you're most familiar with, that you personally prefer? Or is there a difference in what you've experienced across cultures? Well, coming to the US, a lot of people have trouble how this is done here. So, a couple of words to help you understand how negative feedback, or negative and positive feedback, actually is given in the US. First of all, positive feedback is great. You give positive feedback as much as possible. Yes, the stereotypical, well done, good job, love it, keep up the good work. Yes, you have to use it a lot. And remember the picture of the cupcakes? It's definitely the a little bit of a cupcake every day. And yes, we can definitely present the strawberry cupcake in front of everyone. In this country, we do love a good sign that says Employee of the Month on the wall. You want to receive your positive feedback, your praise in front of others. That's very appropriate and very well received. Also use lots of motivating adjectives like oh, outstanding, excellent, terrific, awesome, great, and use upgraders and power words like extremely successful, incredibly valuable. So the upgraders are the adverbs like extremely, incredibly. So use an adverb before an adjective. So the adjective is your power word, and then the upgrader is the adverb before it. And you also try to make it sound good, even if it's not. So you might be told something like that. I appreciate you and love your dedication to trying so hard. We need people who are not easily discouraged. So what does that actually mean? It sounds so good, doesn't it? I appreciate you and I love your dedication. Yeah, so I did a good job, right? Well, no, you tried hard. If I say that you only tried hard and that you're not easily discouraged, then I mean, it was not good. You have to try again. But hey, I like that you're not easily discouraged. So I know you will try again and again and again, but I need you to try again because it was not good. So, in a way, this is negative feedback. But I hope you understand what the negative feedback sandwich is, that it's very hard to see sometimes what the negative feedback is. And if you have something negative to say, well, like I said, go easy on them. The feedback sandwich, like I mentioned, is very important. There's a lot of praising. There's a gentle piece of meat in the middle, which is the constructive feedback, and it's definitely followed by lots of motivation and support. You also should grade your language. Things like you might want to consider alternative solutions instead of this is not good, do something else. That would be the piece of meat on the table, not hidden away in a big stack of sandwich. So the big stack of sandwich is definitely hiding it away, giving a lot of feedback motivation, and also grading your language you might want to consider, which definitely means do it. Now, across cultures in general, I want to say a few words about what feedback should be like and what it should not be like. This can help you across cultures. So it most definitely should not be general criticism. So don't say, I really don't like your work. Well, what is that supposed to mean? Be more specific. Which part of my work or what exactly that I did? So stay away from general criticism. It's never good. And don't be vague. Like you could do better. Well, how much better? Be be more specific and offer up something that is measurable. So instead of two, maybe four, or instead of this, maybe that. So make it measurable. Give people something they can use to know how much more was expected of them. Try not to be subjective and biased, like, oh, from my point of view, that was not appropriate. Well, maybe that's how you see it, but how would this look like in a more objective and unbiased situation? So try to look at the circumstances, the environment, the cultural environment, and see what would be objectively and unbiasedly fair to do, not your personal opinion so much about what somebody did or said. Also, never ever use hearsay. That's horrible for feedback. Like, oh, all your colleagues say that you never do this and that. That's horrible feedback. Instead, be precise. Have specific examples ready, like on the so and so date, so and so said or saw you do this. Can you explain why you did it? This is exactly the type of behavior we don't want for this and that reason. So don't use hearsay. Be very precise. Have examples. Never give feedback without having a specific example what somebody did. And don't try to be judgmental. Like, oh, I don't like how you did that. Well, that's my personal opinion. Instead, be corrective based on what the general rules of behavior or the code of conduct is like, and be supportive to help the person improve. Being supportive, offering support to improve is extremely important when providing feedback. And finally, don't base your feedback on assumptions. Well, I assume you didn't do this because you didn't know that. Well, you make assumptions you don't really know. Don't do that. Base it on real events, what really happened. And if you don't know why somebody did it, ask. Ask why they did it and ask how you can help so that the person can improve. Because feedback is a gift. And if you stick with everything on the green side, hopefully people find it easier to see it like that and to help them improve. So on the green side, specific, measurable, objective, unbiased, precise examples, be corrective and supportive, base it on real events, and ask why is what we should do when giving feedback. There's also another method I want to introduce to you that can help you with giving feedback, the SBIA method, and I added an extra S. That's my addition, my personal addition to the official method. So S stands for situation. So mention a specific event, who did what and when. Then mention the behavior you observed or who witnessed certain words and actions. Then talk about the impact, how you felt, what the reaction was, what the consequences were that were caused. And then finish with the appeal, what you would ideally like the person to do. And like I said, I've added my additional S to this list because, from my point of view, there should be support at the end. Offer your support for growth and improvement. Offer your help so that the person can get better, because that's the whole purpose of feedback, of negative feedback, showing areas of improvement, helping and supporting people to get better. to grow, to develop. Now, what would this look like? I have an example for you. So, a boss could talk to the employee and say during the project launch meeting with our client ABC yesterday. So, I'm naming the situation. You did not know the exact numbers when the ABC manager asked questions. That was the observed behavior. I'm not making an assumption. It's not that I'm biased. This is the exact action that I witnessed. It really happened. So the other person can't possibly say, "Oh no, I didn't do that." No, the other person will probably nod at this point and say, "Yeah, yeah, I remember that. That is true. It really happened." And that's where we want people to be when we give them feedback. They need to realize, okay, that was really the situation and that was really the behavior. I really did that. Got it. Check. But hey, what's next? So, next is ABC almost lost their confidence in our ability to work with them, and I was disappointed that I had to take over to provide the numbers and answer their questions. So, that's the impact. Remember, impact is the consequences of the behavior. Then the appeal. As a project manager, I need you to know your numbers and represent the firm in a professional way. And then, like I said, I'd like to add the element of support, not just leaving it there, but saying, so what happened? How can I help you? I want to see you succeed and lead client meetings like this confidently and independently. Let's go over the numbers together so that you're very well prepared for the next meeting. Do you think this person will feel super bad and think they're going to get fired after the negative feedback? No, probably not. They probably think, well, that's great that my boss is willing to help me and hopefully also very motivated to actually really improve. So on this one, if you remember all the things on the green side, how feedback should be, I think we can check all the boxes. This is specific, measurable, objective, unbiased. We have a precise example based on real events. We ask why, and we offer corrective and supportive um, elements here. So these are some tips and tricks that can help you across cultures when you give feedback. But how about um, how about receiving negative feedback? A lot of people take it very, very personally. So try to be in your rational adult ego, meaning not an emotional state of mind, but very rational. Look at the facts. Consider it valuable feedback rather than feeling personally criticized. This is definitely not personal. Nobody does this because they don't like you. They want you to feel negative. Abandon those feelings and move on to your rational adult ego. The rational adult ego is a state of mind that can process things on a factual and rational level. This way, you can stay calm. You can evaluate the situation and check the facts. You can actually really ask, okay, what happened? How did you perceive it? What did I really do? You can process it and you can see that feedback as a gift to help you grow, improve. And you should stop seeking approval. The gift that you receive can help you do that. Don't just look for approval, look for real ways of improving yourself. Don't feel attacked, but start a dialogue. Ask good questions. Ask how you can improve, how you can grow, how the other person can help you get better. When we talk about cultural differences in giving feedback, it's a bit of a summary. We're coming to the end of this video. These are the things you may want to consider. So first of all, think about positive feedback and praise. Is it actually necessary? How is it given? Remember the first chart, the box at the very beginning, and then we're going to come back to that in a minute. Also, how is negative feedback given? And is it given in a more direct or indirect, or let's say explicit versus implicit way, both for positive and negative feedback? And when is negative feedback perceived as criticism, humiliation, punishment, or disrespect? We don't want it to be perceived as that. So, what can lead to that misperception of feedback rather than what I just said, a gift and helping someone to improve? How could it happen that people could misinterpret it like that? What are the cultural differences here? Also, is feedback given in a public space or in a private area? And does hierarchy matter when giving, receiving feedback? Yes, it does matter a lot whether your culture is more hierarchical or egalitarian. Can you talk back to your boss when you receive feedback? Can you ask questions? Or do you just nod and say, yes, 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 my bad, I'm so sorry. It will never happen again. What is the overall relationship between the person giving and receiving the feedback? So consider all these things when thinking about giving and receiving feedback across cultures. Now, as promised, we're coming back to this at the end of the video. I hope you've had some chance to think about this. So where would you put yourself, your home country, other countries and cultures you know? That's an exercise you can do on your own, or leave a comment for the video. I'll be happy to read it, respond to it. I'm always curious to hear what people have to say. But let's start with the US because I also wanted to compare with the US. So, positive feedback, where would you put the US? Direct or indirect? Three, two, one. Here we go. Direct. Yes, very direct. Remember the cupcake in front of everyone and every day. So, every day. So, the frequency is quite high as often as possible. What about negative feedback? Direct or indirect? What do you think? Three, two, one. I hope you put it here. It's rather indirect. Remember the feedback sandwich? You hide the steak. So, um, only when it cannot be avoided or as a feedback sandwich. That's how it's given. Now, who would give positive feedback indirectly? Do you know any country or culture, or maybe your own, where giving feedback, positive feedback in front of everyone is considered embarrassing? Do you know an example? Well, the example I chose for the video is Japan, where this would be considered inappropriate or embarrassing. So you only give it when appropriate and most definitely not in front of others. What about negative feedback? Can you think of a country or culture where negative feedback can be given very directly? Remember, steak on the table, or maybe just on a little bit of toast and a plate, but the steak is fully visible because it's effective and productive and honest. Any countries that come to mind? Well, the one I chose, close to my heart, of course, is Germany. And well, it's like I said, it's considered honest and productive and effective, and it's given on a regular basis. Direct negative feedback, it is considered a normal thing. People are very much used to it. Nobody feels offended, or at least they try not to be because they know it's normal. Wouldn't quite work in the US that way. Any questions about that? Maybe you come from one of those countries where this is different. Well, contact me. You can find me online. Just use my name, Renata Urban, or my company name, Urban Training and Services. You can visit my website, or you can connect with me on LinkedIn. If you have any questions, reach out to me. I'll be happy to help. I hope you found this video insightful and inspiring. Leave your comments if you have any questions or if you'd like to share something. And if you feel like, yeah, I'm in exactly that situation where I'm working across cultures, I would actually love to work with an intercultural trainer, please reach out to me. I'll be happy to work with you. And if you just like the videos, please come back. I will upload new videos on a regular basis. If you like that, please subscribe to my channel and do come back. Thank you very much and have a great day. Goodbye.